Hi, I'm Anita, and this is the easiest Twisted Wonderland cards to use, and my go-to picks. So first off, if you're into the meta of this game, this video is not for you. I usually don't get into meta for very many video games at all, and this game is definitely one of them. Most of the time it's not my favorite part of video games, but if you're like me and could care less about the meta and just want to know what cards are the easiest to use in this game, and also to my go-to picks, this is for you. So first we'll go into what makes a card easy and what makes a card not easy, at least in my opinion, and then I'll show you some examples of cards that I find the easiest to use. Then I'll show you my top go-to cards. All right, let's get into it. Oh, also something I should note, if you're completely new to Twisted Wonderland, I highly suggest you checking out first, before finishing this video, my cards guide. And I also suggest watching my No SSRs, No Problem video. It will help you a lot in this video if you watch those first. All right, now that you've watched those videos, let's get into it. Oh, actually, I thought of a couple more things to say. I promise we're going to get to the juicy part, so stay with me, because also saying these things are super important. So keep in mind with all of this, this is my experience. This is what I find easiest. So just keep that in mind, because you could use a card that I think and feel like is tricky, but it's very possible that you could find a card that what I would think is tricky to use, you can find that it's easy for you to use. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that just because I find a card tricky doesn't mean it's crummy, that it's a crummy card. I really think, and this is one of the things that I absolutely love and adore about this game, you can pretty much play it exactly how you want. If you love meta, you can totally play it that way. If you're like me and are a super casual player, you're more here for like the story than you are the gameplay, you can totally play the game that way. So keep that in mind. Especially if you have your heart set on a card that you just love and adore. Don't think just because I think the card is tricky that you can't use it or it's crummy. It's one of the top things I absolutely love and adore about this game. You can make a card that's super tricky, very usable, and very strong. I actually have said in a couple of past videos, and I still believe it, I learned it from another YouTuber, they put it in strong cards, strong teams. Totally believe that, totally have found that to be the case in this game. So I just don't want you to be like heartbroken or think, oh no, I got a crummy card, or I got tons of crummy cards, I'm doomed. You're not, don't worry. And I'll even show you some tips and tricks if I find a card tricky, how to kind of sidestep it and not make it as tricky to use. All right, now with all that out of the way, let's get into the juicy stuff. So really point blank, cards that I find the trickiest are ones like these. Any card that has two different kinds of spells. I just find them really tricky to use in case you're new or need a reminder. So here's why I find cards like this super tricky, that have two different kinds of spells. So if you're in a battle, your fire spell will be strong against leaf spells, obviously. A water spell is going to be strong against fire spell. So you go into a battle, this card will be strong against leaf spells, but it's going to be very weak against water spells. And the second typing doesn't really help either, because a water spell against a water spell doesn't deal super effective damage. So that's where I find these cards really hard to use. Because if you take them to like a battle like I described, your spell's only strong against one other spell, if that makes sense. Now you can, and often you do run into battles, so this card could be strong against foes that have fire and leaf spells. Then this card would be strong against them. But even still, for some reason for me, I find cards like this super challenging still to use. In cases like that, I find that cards that look like this way easier. Cards that have the same spell. I just find it easier. I feel like the battles go easier when my cards look like this for some reason, even with battles like I've been describing. I'm not sure how or why. I don't know if it's a psyche thing or what. I just really have found every time when I have been brave enough to experiment that most of the time cards that look like this seem to perform better in my experience. I even find cards like this, these are way easier to use and actually come really in handy, where for some reason the spells that are two different spells, except for the cosmic, I should say. I probably should have said that from the beginning now that I think about it. Sorry. But I find that cosmic is even better than so going into a battle where you have one card that's strong against leaf, so a fire spell, but then a water spell against a water spell doesn't seem to help you much, where for some reason cosmic seems to help you more in a situation like that. So instead of using the water spell, using a cosmic spell. That's what I've seemed to observed when I've played. Probably if I understood meta better, maybe it would be a different story, but I am totally the ultimate casual player with this game. That's how I like to play it, so I don't see me changing anytime soon. I guess we'll see on that one. But as of for now, I find even cards with spells like this are so much easier to use. Especially too with cosmics. So if you have a battle where, again, a fire card that's strong against a leaf card, but then you have where they're going to use a water spell, you can cover your tail with cosmic in a situation like that, so you don't take super effective damage. And it seems like it's a little bit better than just using a water spell too. So that's why I find cards like this are way easier to use than the cards that have the two different spell typings. So in case you're panicking, if you have a card that you absolutely love and adore that has the two different spells and you're finding them tricky, so just to set your mind at ease, you don't have to worry. Especially there are ways to make that card work, and actually they can be really useful and strong, especially if the card has a healing spell with it. Like this card I use a lot because it can heal your team. So don't worry, these cards can really help you out. And if you have a bunch of cards, so I actually did at first have a lot of cards that had the two different kinds of spells when I first played this game, and I was so frustrated a lot of the time. I'm actually amazed I made it as far as I did and that I didn't give up on the game, because I was super frustrated. And then too, looking back now, I'm like, oh, that's a lot of why I got a bunch of cards that were tricky to use. So that's a lot of why I want to make this video, so you don't have my problem and almost give up on the game. Because that would be so sad, because this game is so fun. But I wish now I would have known this. So here's what you can do, and here's what I would suggest. If you do have a bunch of cards like this that you love and want to use, but if you're finding they're tricky too, here's what I would do. Alright, so see this graph here? This graph is telling us what our foes is strong in spell-wise. So they're strong in leaf and water. This is a good example here. So see, I'm not sure why they do this. I've been wondering why they do this, other than maybe they want you to use your own cards. So I'm in the Crafter's Gauntlet. The guest character's typing will not help you much in this battle with everything that I'm describing. It's only strong against the leaf spells in this battle, but also too, it's going to hurt you in the long run with that water spell with this card, because they have a bunch of spells that are strong in leaf. I'm so glad this example came up, because that's exactly why I find cards like this super tricky to use. All right, let me show you though how I would build a team with a card that has the tricky two different spells. All right, honestly, it would be something like this. Or even something like this if I didn't have a bunch of cards that have the two exact same spells. See how this card here has the tricky two different spells? Overall, the team is balanced. Has a good diversity of fire and leaf, so you'll be fine in a battle like this because your team is very well balanced. You can even do something more like this if you have quite a few cards that have the 2 different kinds of spells. Even doing something like this, or you can mix and match and do whatever you need to do. You even can do something like this. So this team is a lot more balanced to go into this fight, which will help you a lot. You'll have enough leaf spells, hopefully, depending on the battle. I do have to say there's some luck with this. Sometimes you'll get into a battle and you'll find that they'll use a lot more leaf spells than water spells, so then you might have to go back and put more cards with fire spells on your team, but you do tend to do better, I have found at least, an even amount of different types of spells for battles like this than if you were to favor one spell over another, especially if you have a healer on your team. So that's personally what I would do if you have a bunch of cards like that. Make sure you go into battles with somehow your team being as even on spells as it possibly can. All right, so now let's get into my go-to cards. So I'll go into first the cards that I did use a lot at first. I actually use more of the SSR cards farther I get into the story, but it's mostly for ease. And I find it to be a little bit faster, and it's nice to have a little bit more HP. But you really can get far on just R cards and S cards. I actually have a challenge up on my channel if you want to go check it out, where I see how far I can get with R cards and SR cards. All right, let's get into my go-to cards though. I actually have to say that a lot of the time I use the cards from events. So if you can get cards from events, I highly suggest it. I won't show you which ones because if you haven't been able to get in on those events, I don't want you to feel discouraged or feel like you're doomed because you missed out on those events. But just so you know, if you have wondered or considered getting cards from events, yes, they help a ton. So I would highly suggest getting cards from events if you can. Also keep in mind too, this is my experience. Totally possible that you'll find other things easier. This game really is pretty flexible, I would say. It's one of the most flexible games I've ever played. That's one of the reasons I absolutely love and adore it. So also keep that in mind. Just because I have found a card easy to use, you may not find it as easy to use. Hopefully this just gives you a starting point, and especially too, and now I'm going to get into and try to keep with cards that I got from the standard pull in the mirror, so that also too, you don't feel like every event you need to spend tons of gems and time and money on getting every single card on every single event. Most of the time I use the cards from the standard pull to get through the main story, to get through events, all of it. Most of the time they are my go-to cards. So that's also something else to keep in mind and hopefully help you out when trying to choose cards. I really want to help you out so you're not discouraged by the game or overwhelmed by the game. Or maybe you're on a strict budget like me and your budget just won't let you spend tons of money on gems on every single event. This is to help you out. All right, the first card that I used a ton was this card here. This was a go-to card for me for a good long while. So, like I said, you can pull off cards that are a little bit more tricky. Also, too, I didn't even level it up all the way. If you see here, I didn't level up the spells all the way. Just so you know, you don't always need to unless the card tells you to get the card up to level 10, which is really nice if you need to save some time and energy and resources to build up a card to be strong enough. Oh, all right, so this card, this is still a go-to card from time to time, even though it's only an SR card. This one is great because it heals your team. So this is a go-to card for me, even still somewhat now, even though I'm pretty far in the main story. Oh, so this one was definitely, I haven't used it as much, where especially now I prefer using Dorm Uniform Riddle. But this one got me really far, and I found it to be really strong. All Alright, so now into the SSRs. So this card still carries me from time to time. This one, though, I would say isn't as strong as another card that I'm going to show you in a minute. But this one does get me far, and it's very easy to use. If I need to use Cosmic and Water, I can. Now that I've unlocked all 3 of the spells. Or I can use Water, which most of the time that's what I use this card for. This one I will grab from time to time. I don't grab it as much as the Deuce dorm uniform one, but I do find it really coming in handy. Alright, a lot of the same with this one. This one I don't find to be very strong. Again, though, I don't know the meta very well. I could totally be not using it to its full potential, but I do use it a lot, and I especially find it a lot more helpful when I unlocked the 3rd spell. I do use it a lot too when I can for the buddy system. This one's great, especially at the beginning if you can't unlock the 3rd spell fast. This one will get you far. Alright, now to my top go-tos, ones that I'm always grabbing, pretty much always. So this one I did find tricky at first. I did still use it a lot, but I did find it tricky until I unlocked the 3rd spell. It seems to be super strong. The buddy system is really nice. I'm always grabbing this card. It's usually one of the first cards I grab. And then this one too. I just find this one crazy strong and incredibly easy to use. So I'm always grabbing this one. And then the last 2 cards save my tail most of the time is, so this card here, Dorm Uniform Riddle. Constantly always grabbing this card. It's one of the first cards I always grab. And then I find this card so easy to use. It's always saving my tail. This card really started to get me way farther in the game was this card here, Dorm Uniform Azulu. What's great about this one is the typing. It has the same 2 kinds of spells, and it can heal your team. And you have a buddy bonus with Riddle. So especially when they're on a team together, it's so much easier to get through battles, like 10 times easier, I would say. But if I'm really hard pressed, if you really want to know what are the easiest cards and what cards to like prioritize, I would actually say Dorm Uniform, Azulu, and Riddle. Then probably after that, Leona, just because Jack's card when you first get it, unless you can unlock the 3rd spell right away, it actually has more versatility where it has the fire spell and you can switch through the spells. But if you can't, I would say Leona, the Dorm Uniform card. To sum up simply, and what's great is that all of these cards are in the standard pool. Anyway, to sum up, the 3 cards that I would suggest if you were really to press me, what are the easiest cards and best cards to get, would be Dorm Uniform, Azulu, Leona, and Riddle. I just have found those cards the easiest to use. And they're always my go-to cards. I'm always grabbing them first before I grab other cards for a battle. Alright, thanks for joining me today. So, if you love this, you'll absolutely love my no SSRs, no problem. It's up on screen. See you over there!